Something absolutely massive just dropped that could change the entire trajectory of the Chicago Bears season. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be the break we've been waiting for. The last 48 hours have given us information that has Bears Nation talking, debating, and honestly getting more excited about where this team is headed than we've been in years. I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening, why it matters more than you might think, and what this means for our playoff push. But you need to stick with me because the implications of what I'm about to share go way beyond just one game. Welcome to Bears News Fan Report, your home for the most up-to-date news, the freshest rumors, and the deepest analysis on our beloved Chicago Bears. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, if you want to know what's really going on with this team before anyone else, hit that subscribe button right now because what's coming in the next few weeks could define this entire season. Let me start by giving you the big picture because context is everything here. The Chicago Bears are 7-3. We're leading the NFC North. Yes, you read that right. We're in first place in one of the toughest divisions in football. After that incredible last-second victory over the Minnesota Vikings in Week 11, we're sitting in a position that most people didn't think was possible at the start of this season. Caleb Williams is developing into the quarterback we hoped he'd be. The defense is creating turnover. The culture is shifting. Everything feels different this year, and Bears fans can feel it. This isn't the same old story of false hope and crushing disappointment. This feels real. This feels sustainable, but here's where things get really interesting. And this is where I need you to pay close attention, because what I'm about to tell you could be the difference between a good season and a great season. We're about to face the Pittsburgh Steelers at Soldier Field in Week 12. The Steelers are 6-4. They're a tough physical team with a solid defense and a winning mentality. On paper, this should be one of our biggest tests of the season. This is exactly the kind of game that will tell us whether we're legitimate contenders or just a team that's been beating up on weak opponents. And speaking of weak opponents, let's address the elephant in the room, because I know what the critics are saying. Our 7 wins have come against teams with a combined record of 19 wins, 50 losses, and 1 tie. We haven't beaten a single team with a winning record yet. We lost to the Baltimore Ravens when Lamar Jackson wasn't playing. We got absolutely destroyed by the Detroit Lions, giving up 52 points in a game that exposed some serious defensive issues. And in Week 1, we let J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings come back on us in the fourth quarter. These are legitimate concerns. These are real questions about whether this team can actually compete when the competition gets tougher. The schedule has been favorable. There's no denying that. We've played the Las Vegas Raiders, the New Orleans Saints, the New York Giants. These aren't exactly murderer's row, but here's what I want to say about that, and this is important. You can only beat the teams that are on your schedule. You can't control who you play. What you can control is how you play, and the Bears have been taking care of business. 7-3 is 7-3, regardless of who those wins came against. We're executing when we need to execute. We're winning close games. We're showing resilience and mental toughness. Those are the qualities that championship teams have. Now, do we need to prove we can beat elite competition? Absolutely. Do we need to show we can hang with the big boys? 100%. And that's exactly why this game against Pittsburgh is so crucial, except here's the thing. And this is where the story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Aaron Rodgers might not play. Let that sink in for a second. Aaron Rodgers, the guy who has absolutely owned the Chicago Bears for his entire career. The quarterback who has beaten us more times than I can count. The player who has single-handedly crushed our playoff dreams year after year might not be on the field when the Steelers come to Soldier Field. On Sunday, during Pittsburgh's win over the Cincinnati Bengals, Rodgers exited the game with a left wrist injury. According to Ian Rapoport from NFL Network, he's dealing with a fracture, and his status for our game this week is 50-50 at best. Now, I want to be very clear about something before I go any further. I'm not celebrating injury. I would never root for a player to get hurt. That's not who we are as Bears fans, and that's not the kind of content I'm going to put out on this channel. But I'm going to be honest about what this means for our team's chances of winning this game. If Rodgers doesn't play, if Mason Rudolph has to start instead, our probability of winning goes up significantly. That's just facts. That's just the reality of the situation. Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and a guy who knows how to beat Chicago better than anyone. Rudolph is a capable backup, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers' offense looks completely different without their starting quarterback, and that gives our defense a much better chance to control the game. And let's talk about the history here, because it's impossible to discuss Aaron Rodgers and the Bears without acknowledging the absolute torture he's put us through over the years. When he was with the Green Bay Packers, he owned us. I mean, completely and utterly owned us. He'd come into Soldier Field and pick apart our defense like it was nothing. He'd make throws that seemed impossible. He'd extend plays with his legs and find receivers downfield when our pass rush thought they had him contained. And then there was that infamous moment when he told Bears fans, "I own you." That wasn't trash talk. That was just stating facts. He did own us. For years and years, he was the biggest obstacle standing between the Bears and success in the NFC North. So the idea that he might not get one final opportunity to beat us, the possibility that his career against Chicago might end without one last victory lap at Soldier Field, that's significant, not just from a competitive standpoint, but from a narrative standpoint. This would be poetic justice in a way. After all the pain he's caused Bears fans, after all the heartbreak and frustration, we might catch a break at the perfect time. We might get to avoid facing him when we desperately need a win to solidify our position atop the division. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Even if Rodgers doesn't play, this is still a dangerous Pittsburgh team. They're well coached. They play physical football. Their defense is legitimate. Mason Rudolph has won games in this league before. We can't just assume this is going to be an easy victory. That's the kind of thinking that gets you upset. That's the kind of overconfidence that leads to disappointment. The Bears need to approach this game with the same intensity and focus they'd have if Rodgers was playing. They need to execute their game plan, take care of the football, and make plays when opportunities present themselves. And here's the bigger picture that I think a lot of people are missing. This game is crucial not just because of the opponent, but because of what comes next. If we can get to 8-3, if we can stack another win on top of what we've already accomplished, we're setting ourselves up for a legitimate playoff run. But the schedule is about to get significantly harder. We visit the Philadelphia Eagles on Black Friday. That's going to be a massive test. Then we've got the Green Bay Packers twice in the span of 3 weeks. We play in San Francisco against a 49ers team that's always tough at home. And we host Detroit in what could be a division-deciding game. The next month is going to tell us everything we need to know about whether this Bears team is for real or whether. We've just been benefiting from a soft schedule. That's why this game against Pittsburgh is so important. If we can get to 8-3, we've got momentum. We've got confidence. We've got a cushion in the standings that allows us to weather a loss or two during the tough stretch ahead. But if we lose this game, if we fall to 7-4, suddenly the narrative shifts. Suddenly people are questioning whether we can win the big games. Suddenly the pressure mounts as we head into that brutal part of the schedule. This is a must-win game, regardless of who's playing quarterback for the Steelers. Now, I want to talk about Caleb Williams for a second because his development is the most important storyline of this entire season. The rookie quarterback has shown flashes of brilliance. He's made throws that only elite quarterbacks can make. He's shown poise in the pocket. He's demonstrated leadership that you don't typically see from first-year players. But he's also had his struggles. He's made rookie mistakes. He's forced throws into coverage. He's taken sacks when he should have thrown the ball away. That's all part of the learning process. That's what happens when you're a young quarterback trying to figure out the NFL game. But here's what excites me about Caleb. He's getting better every week. You can see the growth. You can see him processing information faster, making quicker decisions, understanding where to go with the football. The game is slowing down for him. And that's exactly what you want to see from a rookie quarterback at this point in the season. If he can continue this trajectory, if he can keep developing at this rate, the Bears are going to have their franchise quarterback for the next decade plus. That's what this season is really about. Yes, winning is important. Yes, making the playoffs would be huge. But the most important thing is Caleb's development. And so far, the returns have been very promising. The defense has also been a pleasant surprise. I don't think many people expected this unit to be as effective as they've been. They're creating turnovers. They're getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They're making plays in critical moments. Against Minnesota, they came up with huge stops in the fourth quarter that allowed the offense to win the game. That's the kind of complementary football that winning teams play. When the offense struggles, the defense picks them up. When the defense has a bad series, the offense responds. That's the identity this team is building, and it's exactly what we need to be successful. So here's what I think happens this week. I think the Bears come out focused and motivated. I think they understand the opportunity in front of them. Whether Rodgers plays or not, I think Chicago takes care of business at home. I think Caleb makes enough plays to win the game. I think the defense creates a couple of turnovers and makes life difficult for whoever's playing quarterback for Pittsburgh. And I think we get to 8-3, setting ourselves up for what could be a special finish to this season. Am I being overly optimistic? Maybe, but I'd rather be optimistic and excited about this team than cynical and negative. This is the most fun I've had watching Bears football in years, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. Now I want to hear from you, Bears. Do you think we can beat Pittsburgh even if Rodgers plays? Do you believe this team is legitimate? Or are you worried about the strength of schedule? How do you feel about Caleb's development so far? And be honest, are you a little bit relieved that we might not have to face Aaron Rodgers one more time? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I genuinely want to know where Bears fans stand on all of this. If you're not subscribed to Bears News Fan Report, what are you waiting for? This is where you get the most detailed analysis, the fastest updates, and the most passionate coverage of Chicago Bears football. I'm here every single day bringing you the news that matters, the insights you need, and the perspective that helps you understand what's really happening with this team. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's ride this season together. We've got something special brewing in Chicago, and I want you here for every moment of it. Bear down, and I'll see you in the next one.